Hi, everybody. In this chapter 13, we will talk about the politics and the economy in global perspective. Basically, we are talking about sociology of politics and sociology of economy. And at first, you have some questions for deeper thinking. How are the social institutions of politics and the economy related? When you're talking about politics and economy, we are talking about some general aspects and some important aspects of daily life, because life of everybody and everyday life of everybody, every citizen in all countries all around the world is related to these parts: economy of that country, and politics and policymakers and government of that country. And what are the advantages and disadvantages to capitalism, socialism, or communism as forms of economic operating system? Such a good word, operating system. It's a very popular word in computer science, operating system. Also here, economic operating system, OS. How would you rate the state of the current US economy? After that, we have chapter outline: politics, power, and authority, political systems in global perspective, perspectives on power and political systems, and the US political system, economic systems in global perspective, and work in the contemporary United States. We have some very near concepts here: power, authority, government, power holders, and politics, and also an apparent very important tools in the hands of power holders and people from governments and authority people. It is economy. Perspectives on power and political systems, US political systems, and finally economic system in global perspective, and work and economic system in the present and contemporary United States. Again, we have a topic: experiencing politics and history at the presidential inauguration, as the topic for sociology and everyday life. More than 80% of American adults use the internet, and many of them also participate in social networking sites where political information is available. Is internet and other databases, internet databases, are a good and valid source for political analysis and political thinking about the society, about the world, or not? They are not valid. Can we trust the internet and something like, for example, Wikipedia as a great source, but not very validated source, not academic source, not rigid source? Why? Because everybody can edit the text and the concepts and the objects and subjects in the Wikipedia, for example, also. Is it true or not? More than 80% of American adults use the internet, and many of them also participate in social networking sites where political information is available. Is it true or false? Is it true? Number two, studies have found that most users of social networking sites find these sites to be very important or somewhat important in keeping up with political news or discussing political issues with others. The role of internet sites, the role of cyberspace in political analysis and political thinking. Is it true or false? Again, it is false. Persons who describe their political beliefs as conservative are more likely to use social networking sites than those who describe themselves as moderate or liberal, which is correct. Is it also false? Persons using social networking sites are often surprised about what their friends have posted about politics, because they assume their friends' political beliefs were different from what their statements indicate. It's very paradoxical thinking about other people that we want to guess and we want to predict their political beliefs based upon their social behaviors or friendly behavior with us, with our family members and other near related people. Something is different in the political beliefs and their regular and popular daily behaviors. Why? Because political behaviors and is not necessarily to the political beliefs. And a lot of times you can see different political behaviors based upon different and sometimes opposite political beliefs. Why? The major and the most and the greatest part of people don't have any exact political belief, exact and very rigid. They're general population. They think also even about welfare, about money making, about happiness, good time, safety, security, and other things. Every party, every government, everyone can supply these demands, can offer these productions to people as security, as safety, as happiness, as good time. It's good. So we cannot see exact political behaviors in a lot of people. They're moderate people. So a person using social networking sites are often surprised about their friends have posted about politics because they assume that friends' political beliefs were different from what their statement indicate. It is true or false? It's true. Young adults and African Americans are more likely than white Americans and Hispanics to see social networking sites as important for keeping up with political news, recruiting people to get involved, finding others with similar views, and debating or discussing political issues with others. Again, we are talking about the role of cyberspace as the source of political news, political events, discussing about the politics, about the different aspects of government and different aspects of global, for example, issues, global political issues. Is it true or false between different races? For example, young and African American, young adults and African American in contrast with white American and Hispanic people. Is it true or false? This is true. Many social networking site users indicate that they have changed their political views based on reading posts about specific issues. Even based on reading posts about specific issues, it is true or false. Many social networking site users, it is false, not many of them. Because more media users have turned to social media for information about politics, traditional print and television journalists have taken a more active role in conducting investigations into the backgrounds and political platforms of candidates, switching from, for example, paper journals and TV journals, television journals, switching their activity from, for example, TV journalists to conducting the service and other platform for gathering information and data collection and data analysis. Is it true or false? Is it false? Not true. Just in time, just now, television journalists are very important, not even in the conducting research and surveys and data collection and data analysis, but also in providing shows, TV shows about the political problems and political issues and major parts of policies, for example, about the presidential election and other major parts in America and also in other parts of the world. The number of viewers of local TV news programming has decreased each year since 2007, even in presidential election years. Is it true or false? The number of viewers of local TV news programming has decreased each year since 2007, even in presidential election years. Is it true or false? Is it true or false? Yes, this is true. Okay, let us start the major topics of this chapter. Politics, power, and authority. What is politics? Everything begins with a conceptual and operational definition. When you're talking about everything, at first you should provide some conceptual and operational definitions of your topic. Now, we are talking about politics. Our topic is politics. So, what is politics? Politics is the social institution through which power is acquired and exercised by some people and groups. What are the keywords here? Politics is the social institution through which power is acquired and exercised by some people and groups. The first keyword is institution. The second keyword is power. The third keyword is requirement. So politics is the social institution through which power is acquired and exercised by some people and groups. Also, we can consider the next keyword for groups. But when you are talking social institutions, the hidden meaning inside the phrase social institution is groups, teams, gathering, large number of people, and other things. So this is the definition of politics. And what is the definition of government? These are the words that at the first sight, you may see them as the very simple words. And sometimes you think that there's no need to provide a definition, for example, for power, for politics, for government. Everybody knows the definition of these simple words. But honestly, they are not so simple words when you want to provide a definition for them. You can check yourself before going to the course, before going to the chapter, before continuing this presentation, my presentation. You can think about the words power, politics, authority, government, economy, and provide your own definition, but a good definition, a multidimensional definition. It is not so easy. So government is the form of organization that has the legal and political authority to regulate the relationships among members of a society and between the society and those outside its borders. What are the keywords of government? Government is the formal organization. So it's an organization and it's a formal organization. Authority, relationship, three major keywords: organization, authority, and relationships. These are the major part of government. What type of organization? Government is the formal organization. What type of authority? Legal and political authority. Yes, sometimes we can consider political as the keyword, but it has authority to regulate what the government do for relationships. It regulates the relationships among members inside the society and the countries, the society, the other governments outside our society, outside the borders, outside the nation, outside the country. So the keywords are organization, authority, and relationship. What is the state? State also, definition of state is some specific part of the world, like America. Sometimes it is called province. Sometimes it is not called province or state. It's different. In some part of the world, province is the same state and state is the same province. When they are not very dependent, they don't have any dependent relationship with the government. major government, federal government. They are states. But for example, in a large number of countries around the world, there's a very dependent relationship between the different parts of the country. So those parts are not called states, they are provinces. The state is the political entity that possesses a legitimate monopoly over the use of force within its territory to achieve its goals. So, at this part, at this side, at this definition of a state, we see a state as a political entity. It's not necessarily a geographical entity, it's a political entity. A monopoly. What type of monopoly? Legitimate monopoly over the use of force. So at first, it is political. Second, monopoly. Third, force and territory. So we have 4 keywords for definition of states. At first, it's a political entity, political. Second, monopoly. Third, force, and 4, territory. The state is the political entity that possesses the legitimate monopoly over the use of force within its territory to achieve its goals. And the definition of power. What is power? We can we study a lot about power in different courses among the bachelor program or master degree program, or sometimes in DBA, in different courses, in sociology here, in psychology, social psychology, in leadership course. In all of them, we have the topic of power. It's very important, very common in different aspects of organization, different aspects of society, different aspects of also individual behaviors in psychology. So power is the ability of persons or groups to achieve their goals despite opposition from others. We have 3 keywords: ability, goals, opposition. One of the major components for providing a definition for power is to have opposition. If there is no opposition, it's very doubtable and under doubt the power you have, or your organization has, or your country has, or your authority has. Opposition is a major part of power holding. To fight against something, to overcome something, to achieve your goals despite opposition from others. So we have 3 keywords here. At first, power is the ability. For what? For achieving your goals. When? When there are a lot of opposition against you, opposition from others against you, or your power holding, or your topic, or your significant matters to fight for. We have here a theory, so-called Weber's 3 types of authority, Max Weber's. Traditional authority, charismatic authority, and rational legal authority. We are talking about authority. Traditional authority is the type of authority which is related to the traditions, to the history, to the family. And charismatic authority is this type of authority related to your personality, your character, your charismatic features. And rational legal authority is the authority related and based upon the legal parts or rules and other things, which is not related to your personality or your family history or inheritance or other things. So traditional authority is the power that is legitimized on the basis of long-standing custom. It is traditional authority, long-standing custom. For example, kingdom. When you are a kingdom member, sometimes you have traditional authority. Why? Because it's a long-standing custom. It's a custom in your country, in your tribe, in your community, everywhere. It's not related to your personality. You can be a very weak personality, prince, but you have authority. What type of authority? Traditional authority. People only have some regard to you because of your family member, your descent, not only for your, for example, charismatic features or your personality or your good functions for other people. No, no, no. It is only because of your descent, your race, your family, long-standing custom. It is traditional authority, as Max Weber says. Other parts is charismatic authority, the type of authority based upon your personality features. Is power legitimized on the basis of a leader's exceptional personal qualities or the demonstration of extraordinary insight and accomplishment that inspire loyalty and obedience from followers. In a big area for definition of authority, when we are talking about authority, we are talking about charismatic authority. The first and the major picture that people have in their mind about authority is this type of authority, charismatic authority. What are the outcomes of charismatic authority? Loyalty and obedience. When and where can you find and can you think that, yes, here we can see some charismatic authority, people with charismatic authority, when you can find followers based upon loyalty and obedience. Why? The followers accept the personality of the leader. Leadership at the side of authority is something for charismatic authority, not traditional authority, not rational legal authority. And the last part is rational legal authority, is power legitimized by law or written rules and regulations. This is by the government. For example, some governmental positions, you have a rational legal authority. Concept quick review, we can see traditional, charismatic, and rational legal. U.S. presidency, Congress, federal bureaucracy, they are rational legal. And Napoleon, Adolf Hitler, Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, and Mother Teresa all are based on charismatic authority. And for example, traditional, we can see patrimony and patriarchy and other parts of family, and based upon their long-standing customs, all are about traditional authority. Subject to erosion as traditions weaken. Okay. Sometimes when you have only traditional authority, during the time you will lose your authority position. Why? Because it's based upon your family position or long-standing customs. And political system in global perspectives. Monarchy, authoritarianism, and democracy. Monarchy, authoritarianism, and democracy. Monarchy is a political system in which power resides in one person or family and is passed down from generation to generation through lines of inheritance. It is monarchy. It is kingdom. It is family trace and family line and bloodline of something, especially in a family, especially in a group, from one generation to another generation. Also, giving example is not kingdom. For example, in an industry, you can see monarchy. Why? Because from one generation to another generation, lines of inheritance. Authoritarianism is a political system controlled by rules who deny popular participation in government, denies popular participation, no participation. Authoritarianism is popular participation. The key word is, at first, it's a political system. Second, no participation, no popular participation. It is about dictatorship. Also in government, no participation in government. And totalitarianism is a political system in which the state seeks to regulate all aspects of people's public and private lives, something like communism. All aspects of private life even. It is, we want to cover your whole life, your total aspects of your life, even your private life. This type of government is totalitarianism, okay? And finally, you can say also democracy. That's such a good word, but I don't know how much it is real or not. Democracy is a political system in which the people hold the ruling power either directly or through elected representatives. People. Demo, in Latin word, is mean people. Democracy, the dominancy of people. Theocracy, the dominancy of God, for example. Bureaucracy, the dominancy of bureaus, organizations, paperwork, and other. Crazy is mean dominancy in Latin words. Demo is mean people. Democracy, the dominancy of people, all people minds, all people views, all people's votes. Democracy is a political system in which the people hold the ruling power, either directly or through elected representatives. So the keywords for democracy is people at first. Second, ruling power. They have ruling power. Well, there's third and fourth maybe direct or their representative. Because of that, we have representative democracy. Is when citizens elect representatives to serve as bridges between themselves and the government. As you can see, for example, Senate is a representative. Okay, but keyword in these different words, you should know the keyword. In monarchy is lines of inheritance. Generation to generation, lines of inheritance. It is the keyword. Also, all of them are political systems. Authoritarianism, no popular participation. No popular participation. It is the keyword. No popular participation. Totalitarianism is all aspects of people's life, public or private life, all aspects of people's public and private life, the regulation, okay. It is all aspects, total, all. And democracy, demo, and ruling power. So we are talking about political parties, political systems, we are talking about ruling power, different ruling power, political systems in four aspects, in four types. At first, we are ruling power because our previous generation, because of family history, because our lines of inheritance. So we are monarchistic. And we are ruling power with no participation of other people's views. Or sometimes we are ruling power for all aspects of your life. And finally, it's the best part, we are ruling power determine everything by a collective aspects of everybody, every citizen of a country, monarchy and authoritarianism, totalitarianism, and democracy. Here we have some aspects, different aspects about the sociology of, for example, policy, politics, and economy. We have four aspects. The first aspect is functionalist perspective. We have talked about it before in different chapters. Everything we are studying in this book, we study that in four aspects. The first one is functionalist aspect. The pluralist model is the functionalist model for looking at the society as a political system, political aspects of everyday life of people. Pluralist model assumes that people share a consensus and the government serves important functions that no other institution can fulfill. It is pluralist model. What are the keywords? At first, consensus. Second, fulfill. Function and fulfill. Pluralism assumes that people share a consensus and the government serves important functions that no other institution can fulfill. Consensus of people, functions of government, no fulfillment. According to this model, power in political system is widely dispersed throughout many competing interest groups. We were talking about the interest group. According to this model, to pluralist model, power in political system is widely dispersed throughout many competing interest groups. So competition is very good function here between the interest groups, the special interest group or general interest group. So contemporary functionaries identify 4 main functions for government. We talk about it. Government serves important functions that no other institution can fulfill. What are the important functions? 1, maintaining law and order. 2, planning and directing society. B. 3, meeting social needs. 4, handling international relations, including, for example, warfare. These are the 4 major important significant functions of a government. 1, law and order. 2, directing society. You can see in picture B. The lecturer is talking about the social problems and other things. 3, meeting social needs. And 4, international relationship with other countries, handling international relations. These are the 4 major functions, more important, 4 important functions, 4 significant functions that only government can fulfill. Also in the pluralist model, also at the side of functionalist perspective. We are talking about the interest groups. What are special interest groups? Special interest groups are political coalitions made up of individuals or groups that share specific interests they wish to protect or advance with the help of the political system. What are the key words? At first, coalition. Second, specific interest for protect or advance. These are the keywords of special interest group. It is coalition. Also, it is political coalitions. Specific interest. 3, protect. 4, advance. And sometimes with the political system, from political coalitions to political systems. For what? For interest, specific interest. Why? For protecting or advancing. They are also referred to as pressure groups or lobbies. These are not so good words, so prestigious words. Lobbies and pressure groups. So very formal, very socially acceptable word and phrase for these groups are special interest groups. But the hidden names and not so prestigious names are pressure groups or lobbies. What are the pressure groups? Put pressure on political leaders. We want to use the political systems to advance or protect our special interests because we are political coalitions. We are specific special interest groups. So we want to talk to and to use political leaders. When we have some pressure on the political leaders, we are pressure groups. And lobbies are often referred to in terms of the organization they represent or the single issue on which they focus, like gun lobby and the dairy lobby. Very specific. Why these are called also a special interest group? Because very specific topic to lobby for, to have some make some lobby for it. And lobbyists, the people who are paid to influence legislation on behalf of specific clients. So these are not so these are not legal activities in politics or in economy or in market, but we have. So at a healthy level, at a normal level, at a fair level, we have a special interest group. But when there is fighting for gaining, for achieving their goals, at every price we should pay, it is pressure groups. These are lobbies. And what are PACs? Political Action Committees. Political action committees are organizations of special interest groups that solicit contributions from donors and fund campaigns to help elect candidates based on their interest. They are political action committees or action group or action plan. They have some action plan for the special interest, and they gathering fund and they gathering donations for empowering their election and their power in society as the political system, as the political power holders and other parts of political action committees. And the other model in sociology we have, it is conflict perspective on power and political system. We have talked about the conflictual and conflict perspective on everything we are talking and we are studying in the course of SOC 1010. One of the greatest, one of the important aspects, we should look at everything in sociology, it's conflict aspect and conflict perspective. And what about the conflict perspective about politics? It is the elite model. It's a pluralist model for functionalist aspect perspective. And we have elite model in the perspective of conflict perspective. According to elite model, power in political system is concentrated in the hands of a small group of elites, and the masses are relatively powerless. Two parts of powerful people, powerless people, powerful people, power holders. And the great number of people and the mass, they are not powerful, they are powerless. Also, in the perspective of conflict model or conflict perspective to sociology. A very small group of elite people. A lot of people think like this, that yes, everything has happened in the hands of very small group of elite people. Sometimes it is called conspiracy theory. And pluralist and elite models, we can some comparison before these models. In pluralist model, decisions are made on behalf of the people by leaders who engage in bargaining, accommodation, and compromise, and decisions are made by a small group of elite people in elite model. Competition among leadership groups makes abuse of power by any one group difficult, and consensus exists among the elite on the basic values and goals of society and other parts also. Power is widely dispersed, and people can influence public policy by voting, and power is highly concentrated at the top of the pyramid-shaped social hierarchy. And finally, public policy reflects a balance among competing interest groups, and public policy reflects the values and preference of the elite. But now in the US political system, the US political system is made of formal elements and informal elements. Two formal elements you can find in the US political system. At first, it is the legislative process, and second, the duties of the president. These are the two formal elements of political system in the United States of America. And second part is informal elements with three components: political parties, political socialization, and voter participation. These are not formal, these are informal. A political party is an organization whose purpose is to gain and to hold legitimate control of government. So, what are the keywords in a very simple definition of political party? Political party, the goal of political party is gaining government, gaining the power of government. So the final goal, the target of political party is government, not anything but government. And it is organization. It's an organization, it's not different people at the different level, it's organized people, organized activity to gain and hold legitimate control of government. So legitimization is very important for a party, for a political party. And the second one is political socialization. We are talking about the informal aspects and informal elements of political systems in the United States. At first, political parties. Second one is political socialization. It's the process by which people learn political attitude, values, and behavior. Sometimes it is in the high school, sometimes in the colleges, sometimes in parenting, sometimes in the socialization, even sometimes, not always, sometimes even in childhood socialization process. And voter participation is the third part of informal elements of political systems in America. It is voter participation. Democracy in the United States has been defined as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Democracy is defined in the United States as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. According, it would stand a reason that the people would actively participate in government at any or all of four levels. First, voting. Second, attending and taking part in political meetings. Third, actively participating in political campaign. And fourth, running for and holding political office. These are four aspects, these are four levels of voter participation in the United States. Why? Because people are the main core, are the major core and the basic core of political system in the United States. Democracy has been defined as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That the people will actively participate by voting, by political meetings, by political campaigns, and by political office. We can see the participation. Also, I think it is for the election of 2012. Participation rate. It is a comparison between 2012 and 2016. Republican, other Democrats, and based upon different parts of age. You can find in national election poll, exit poll. And also different races, especially white, African American, and Latino, 2012 and 2016, Republican, other, and Democrat, by different colors, blue for Democrat, and as you see, red for Republican, and other for white. You see an African American, 91% in 2012 with Barack Obama, and 2016 with Donald Trump, African American 83%. A white American is near together, 51 to 48%. A white American in both are near 50%, are Republican, and also in 2012, and near 45% of white Americans are Democrats. And also Latino, a major part of Latino people are Democrats. Okay, the iron triangle of power, a three-way arrangement in which one, a private interest group, usually a corporation, two, a congressional committee or subcommittee, and three, a bureaucratic agency, make the final decision on the political issues. that is to be decided by that agency. It is called the iron triangle of power. The military-industrial complex, the iron triangle, is a mutual interdependence of the military establishment and private military contractors. You can see here, it is example of iron triangle of power: Congress, Department of Defense, and defense contractors. We can see a good example of this iron triangle of power: a private interest group, usually a corporation, a congressional committee or subcommittee, and a bureaucratic agency. Defense Department, defense contractors, and Congress budgets. Congress as the congressional committee. This is the final part of the studying of politics, sociology of politics in the United States and global aspects. We are entering in the economic systems, sociology of economy. Economic systems in global perspectives ensures that the maintenance of society throughout the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. We have three parts: production, distribution, and consumption. And again, production, distribution, and consumption. And again, production, distribution, and consumption. It is economic system all around the world in global aspect and global perspective. And we have three parts: pre-industrial economy, industrial economy, and post-industrial economy. All pre-industrial society and industrial societies and post-industrial societies. In all societies, the specific method of producing goods is related to the techno-economic base of the society. Techno-economic, technology and economic parts. In all countries and all economic systems, there is a very, very, very near relationship between technology and economy in all aspects, in pre-industrial societies or economies, in industrial societies and economies, in post-industrial economies or societies. We have two parts: technology and economy. Why? Because of production, because of distribution, and because of consumption. In each society, people develop an economic system ranging from simple to very complex for the sake of survival, only for maintenance of life, for survival. So the major function of economy is survival. The basic, the very crucial, very, very crucial function of economy is survival, maintenance of life. In pre-industrial economies include hunting and gathering, horticulture and pastoral, and agrarian societies. Most workers engage in primary sector production, the extraction of raw materials and natural resources from the environment. Very, very basic, pre-industrial. But in secondary sector production or industrial economy, result from sweeping changes to the system of production and distribution of goods and services during industrialization. Two parts: production and distribution. Drawing on new forms of energy such as steam, gasoline, and electricity, and machine technology, factories proliferate as the primary means of producing goods. Factory in secondary sector production is very important, going from hunting to factories. It is not primary, it is industrial. Industrialization means factory, production by the factories, production by the workers, production by the co-workers. Most workers engage in secondary sector production, the processing of raw materials from the primary sector into finished goods. You can see here. In pre-industrial economy, you can find the extraction of raw materials and natural resources from the environment. It is pre-industrial. In industrial, the processing of raw materials into finished goods. We have some goods here some productions here, not raw material from resources, for example, for very daily usage of the same raw material. Changing the raw materials to the goods. It is industrial society, industrial economy. And the post-industrial economy is based on tertiary sector production, the provision of services rather than goods. So the first part is raw material, the second part is production of goods, and the third part, the post-industrial economy or society, is about production services rather than goods as a primary source of livelihood for workers and profit for owners and corporate shareholders. Tertiary sector production includes a wide range of activities such as fast food service, transportation, communication, education, real estate, advertising, sport, and entertainment. So at the first, we have raw material in pre-industrial societies, pre-industrial economies. Second part, we have goods, we have productions for the secondary, for the industrial society or economy. And at the third part, post-industrial or post-industrial economies or post-industrial societies, we have services. And we have new production, we have service production, not goods production. Capitalism, definition and distinctive features. Capitalism, definition and distinctive features of capitalism. The major economic system in the United States is capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system characterized by private ownership of the means of production, from which personal profits can be derived through market competition and without government intervention. What are the key words of capitalism? At first, private ownership. Second, personal profit. Third, competition. Four, government intervention. Ownership, profit, competition, government. No government intervention. Without any government intervention. An ideal capitalism has four distinctive features: private ownership of the means of production, pursuit of personal profit, 3, competition, and 4, lack of government intervention. Private ownership of the means of production means corporation or organization. We have corporation, we don't have any organization. The new definition of organization in the context of capitalism is called corporation. It is not called organization. Corporations are organizations that have legal powers, such as the ability to enter into contracts and buy and sell properties separate from their individual owners. They have legal entity. They have legal rights for doing something like an owner, but they are not private people. They are not personals. They are corporations. Corporations are organizations that have legal power. So the main topic, the main keyword of corporation is legal power to act, to do, to buy, to sell, to do contracts and other things, separate from individual owners. These are the legal part of an organization is corporation. Early monopoly capitalism, advanced monopoly capitalism, and transactional corporations. Early monopoly capitalism, 1819 to 1940, most ownership shifted from individual to huge corporation. From 1940 to present time, in advanced monopoly capitalism, many corporations have become more global in scope, more global, not only for one country, for one nation, for one single geographical area. And in transnational corporations are large corporations that are headquartered in one country but sell and produce goods and services in many countries. It is very, very popular now, very normal in the global industrialization that we have a lot of transnational or multinational corporations. And pursuit of personal profit, another key feature A distinctive feature of capitalism, a tenet of capitalism, is the belief that people are free to maximize their individual gain throughout personal profit. In the process, the entire society will benefit from their activities. Economic development is assumed to benefit both capitalists and workers. And the general public also benefits from the public expenditures, such as for roads, schools, and parks, made possible through an increase in business tax revenue. So when you are talking about the personal profit as a key feature, as a distinctive feature for capitalism, you are talking about the tax. Why? Because it is assumed that whenever and wherever one single person can produce more money, more personal profit, and pay tax to the federal government, to the major core of government, it is very useful for other people with lower income to have some good life. Why? Because of the taxes of rich people, gaining from rich people is distributed for poor people. Honestly, it is also in theory. In practice, it is not something like this one. And competition, oligopoly and shared monopoly, conglomerate and interlocking corporate directorates. And an oligopoly exists when several companies overwhelming control an entire industry. For giant companies, a music industry, for how we have 4 major music companies all around the world, that they have the giant companies, they have giant monopoly of the market of music. Universal Music Group in France, Sony Music Entertainment Group in USA, and EMI Group in United Kingdom, and also Warner Music Group in United States. And a shared monopoly, it is an oligopoly. It is shared monopoly exists when 4 or fewer companies has 50% or more of a particular market. For example, US automobile manufacturers referred to as the big 3, General Motors, Ford, and Fiat Chrysler, have more than 50% of all the automobile or car industry in the United States. They have share monopoly. They have monopoly, but not only for one company. It is monopoly, but less than 4 companies. It is also, again, monopoly, but share monopoly. Conglomerates are combinations of businesses in different commercial areas, all of which are owned by one holding company. One whole different area. The key word here is different area, in different areas of business, but only one holding company. For example, media ownership is a case in point. Companies such as Time Warner have extensive holdings on radio and television stations, cable television companies, book publishing firms, and film production and distribution companies, to name only a few. Today, most of our news originates from 10 massive conglomerates that dominate the global media market, for example, CNN and Fox News. These are the major companies for news all around the world. It is called in the economy conglomerates in different parts of it. For example, film publishing, book publishing, news production, and other everything which is related to the news, to the culture, to the information at the level of, for example, media. It is conglomerates. And the final part, its competition, is reduced over the long run by interlocking corporate directorates, who are members of the board of directors of one corporation, who also sit on the boards of other corporations. Also, you know, by the Act of 1914, it is Clayton Antitrust Act of 1914. In America, it is illegal. It is not legal. Because this is a capitalistic country. You cannot be at the chair board of 2 companies who are competitive together. It is not legal. It is illegal. By the Clayton Antitrust Act of 1940, made it illegal for a person to sit simultaneously on the boards of directors of 2 corporations that are in direct competition with each other. The legislation, the legal forces, and the laws enforce and protect the capitalism in the United States. It says that you should have a turnover of money. You cannot block money in one part of society, because when you block some money in some part of society, other part of society has a very, very different social level with you, and it decreases the competition level. Karl Marx also talked about socialism and communism. Socialism is an economic system characterized by, one, public ownership of the means of production, public ownership, not private ownership. Second, the pursuit of collective goals, not personal profits. And third, centralized decision-making in socialism. Communism is another word Karl Marx talked about in Russia and in the middle of the Europe about the economy at the end of 19th century. It is communism. Communism, it is something at the middle level of socialism. Communism is an economic system characterized by common ownership of all economic resources. Karl Marx described socialism as a temporary stage en route to an ideal communist society. A mixed economy combines elements of a market economy with elements of a command economy in communistic societies, like central and sometimes like southern and some part of previous so-called Cold War between Russia, USSR, and United States before 1919, that the president of the Russia described that the countries should be divided to their own dependency, and now there are some independent countries, and some part of Asia and some part of Central Europe. Democratic socialism, what a paradoxical word. It is democratic, but it is socialism. Democratic socialism in an economic and political system. It is not only an economic system, it's also economic and political system that combines private ownership. It is from the part of democracy, part of capitalism, private ownership, which is forbidden in very pure capital, very pure communism, very pure socialism. You don't have any private ownership. You have only public ownership in the pure communism. But you have private ownership of some of the means of production, governmental distribution of some essential goods and services, and free election. So it is a combination between democracy and socialism. And welfare states, states in which there is an extensive government action to provide support and services to services. A welfare state is the state of the United States of America. For economy, it is called welfare states. You have private ownership, you have your own source, you have your own capital, social capital, economic capital. Everything is based upon the different types of capital. For example, we have here psychological capital of the organization. What are our capital? It is not related to money. It is related to the assets, psychological sources, social sources. For example, in COVID-19, it is shown that the United States society has a poor social capital. Why? Because a lot of people doesn't have any good action against COVID-19. They didn't they didn't have any good rules to obey for fighting against COVID-19. It is social capital. So when we use the word capital, it is not necessarily related to the economic part, to the financial part. A welfare state is a state in which there is extensive government action to provide support and services to the citizens, and characteristic of professions, abstract, autonomy, self-regulation, authority, and altruism. Work in the contemporary United States, characteristic of professions. It is very important in the United States and also in North America to be professional. If you are not professional, if you are simple worker, you cannot enter the capitalistic system of the United States, of the Canada, and other parts of the world that the economic system is capitalism. Professional are higher status, knowledge-based occupations that have 5 major characteristics. Occupations, the primary labor market, the secondary labor market, and the marginal jobs. And these are the other occupation executive professions. We have 2 parts, professions and occupations. Occupations had 3 parts, primary labor market, secondary labor market, and marginal jobs, the second parts. And contingent work is a part-time work, temporary work, or subcontracted work that offers advantages to employees, but then can be detrimental to the welfare of workers. It is not good for the workers to be in a contingent work. It is not so profitable for the workers in this type of work, also subcontracting. Okay, it is the final part of this session. We have provided you some good basic concept about the political and economical aspects of sociology all around the world, especially in the United States. And with this crisis of COVID-19, everything should be changed after, for example, 2 to 5 years. After 5 years, we want again to study the political aspects of United States and also other countries of the world. We should talk about them in very, very different aspects. But up to now, it is regular that we have different capitalistic, communistic, socialistic aspects to economy. And there is a very near relationship between political aspects, political systems, economic system, and technological systems. And I will talk to you for the other objects of your course in the next session. Bye-bye.